Ambitious entrepreneurs invest thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours in courses, seminars, and books every year. Knowledge and learning is power, right? But what if I told you that 70% of what you learned is completely useless? Not because the content is bad, but because the way you learn is broken. I spent hundreds of hours researching the most effective learning methods for entrepreneurs. And what started as a personal quest to improve my own business skills turned into an obsession that led me to coach one of the most successful entrepreneurs in France. And here is the truth. Entrepreneurs need to learn differently than everyone else. Those generic learning tips and tricks videos designed for students or the average person simply won't be effective for your business objectives. But by the end of this video, you will understand the 5 critical learning principles that separate average learning entrepreneurs from exceptional ones. But before I share these 5 principles, there is something crucial you need to understand about learning in today's business landscape. And this alone will transform how you approach every course, book, mastermind from now on. So first, fixing the learning bottleneck. So basically, to learn something, you have 3 big parts. The first part is to consume. All right. So you consume knowledge, you read a book, you assist a seminar, you are following a coach, something like that. Then you have to digest, or let's say process the information, the knowledge, right? And finally, you are going to use or apply this knowledge. All right, so you have these 3 steps. And what I noticed for most of entrepreneurs is that they are focusing a lot on the consuming part. So if you want to modelize it, the consuming part is going to be like this, huge thing. And then the digest part is something like that. And the usage, our application part, is something like that. All right. So they are focusing too much on the consuming. They are focusing too much on okay, how can I read faster? How can I listen to more courses? How can I follow more coaches? How can I get more knowledge, etc., etc. And so they are focusing on just widening this part and making this part huge and huge and huge and huge, right? But where is the bottleneck here? What is the problem here? The problem is that you are putting too much effort and too much energy and too much time and too much money on the first part only. But the bottlenecks are here. You can learn as much as you want. You can learn as fast as you want. You are still in the consuming part. You are still here. And so what is the real bottleneck? The real bottlenecks are here and here. And what is the thing? It's that you are not investing enough time and enough attention and maybe enough money on these 2 parts, right? So the knowledge is still here, all right? And just a bit of knowledge is going here and just few of it is going to be applied and implemented, right? So your ROL is very low. Your ROI, which stands for, as you know, so ROI stands for return on investment. Your ROL stands for return on learning. And here you notice that your ROL is very low. Why? Because you have 2 huge bottlenecks. The first one is here and the second one is here. All right. If you fix these bottlenecks, instead of consuming a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money on consuming content and acquiring more knowledge, etc., and focusing a part of this time on the 2 others bottlenecks, you are going to improve a lot your ROL. Okay, and I know that it's a temptation. actually to consume lots more knowledge, okay? Because you have the dopamine, which is created when you learn something new, but you are going to notice that focusing more on what you already know, what you already heard, what you already learned, and trying to digest it and trying to apply it is going to give you a lot more value and a lot more results and a lot more impact in your business. Think of your learning like a restaurant, okay? You are buying a lot of ingredients, you are putting them here, and you are not cooking at all, or you are just cooking, once a week, for example. You are cooking once a week, or you're cooking once a month, and you are serving clients once a year, all right? So your restaurant now is not a prolific restaurant. It's just like an ingredient warehouse. To put it into a real scale, what is actually happening for most entrepreneurs. So imagine this is your sales funnel, okay? And what you are doing, you are adding more and more money in ads and expect that you will have more money at the end. But what you should do here, if this is your sales funnel, you have to fix this, and you will have a lot more results. So basically, this is for your sales funnel. And this is the unit for the sales funnel. Here, the unit is dollars, right? But if we consider, but for knowledge, the unit is time and attention and focus, right? So you put more time and focus here, And it's much better to have a learning funnel like this, and you are going to understand this clearly, like this. This one brings you much more results than this one. Maybe he's just learning, let's say he's reading, one book a week. Here, he is spending, let's say, 20 hours a week on YouTube, and he is, reading 2 books a week. But here, he takes the time to digest, and he takes the time to apply and use. And so at the end, the results are much more significative than here. So for every hour you spend consuming content, consuming knowledge, learning something, spend another part of your time digesting it, and another part of your time using it and applying it. Because right now you are spending thousands of dollars every single year. Why? Because you are aiming some new skills, But you are achieving these skills, and you are actually acquiring these skills just by maybe 10% or 20%, Because you are not digesting it, and you are not applying it and using it. So basically you are buying a dream you will only live 10% or 20% of. By the way, if you are an entrepreneur who regularly invests thousands in courses, coaching, and masterminds, but feels frustrated that most of what you learn never gets implemented, this is for you. I help ambitious professionals like you turn knowledge into your unfair advantage and unlock the full potential of your learning. You will find the link down below in the description, and if it's a good fit, we'll work together to seriously upgrade your learning. Now that you understand how to balance consumption with digestion and application, let's address another critical mistake entrepreneurs make. The second principle is what I call the maximum impact principle. What I noticed a lot with most of entrepreneurs and ambitious entrepreneurs is that they love learning, and they are interested in a lot of topics. So for example, I will take my case, so for example, I'm really interested in storytelling. I'm interested in decision making. I'm interested in let's say marketing. I'm interested in AI. I'm interested in, let's say public speaking. I'm interested in scaling business. maybe also, okay, management. Also, I need to learn about maybe leadership. You got the idea. The thing is that I have a lot of subjects I'm interested in. But what is a mistake a lot of entrepreneurs are making is that they are trying to learn a lot of subjects at once. So they are going to learn a bit about storytelling because the YouTube algorithm is recommending a lot of these kind of videos right now. So right now in their brain, their focus is storytelling. Oh, I have to learn storytelling right now because it's the thing to learn. And they are going to learn a bit about decision making, and they are going to learn a bit about marketing, a bit about AI, etc., etc. The problem is that you are scattering your focus on too many subjects. And so the impact you have from each of these subjects is minimal. So what is interesting to do is to find a rational way to prioritize which subjects you have to learn right now, which subject you have to learn on the second time, etc., etc., and create a hierarchy of the subject you have to learn. Because if someone is telling you about storytelling is the thing you need to learn right now for your business. It's his opinion, and maybe he has something to sell about storytelling, etc. That's why he is pushing you about storytelling. Okay, like me, for example, right now, I'm pushing you to learn about how to learn because I really think that this is the skill that is going to unlock all of the other skills you need for your business. Okay, but you got the idea is that you don't have to let your emotions and let what you heard about one subject to make this subject your priority right now. But instead, you need to find a rational way to prioritize all the subjects you are interested in and all the subjects you need to learn about for your business, and so create this hierarchy and start with the one that is going to give you the most impact. So, for example, what I'm teaching to my clients is to list, like I've done right now, all the subjects they want to learn about, okay? And then mark them and score them on 3 criteria, okay? So the first criteria is the impact. So, for example, what will be the impact on my business if I learn about storytelling? If tomorrow I'm an expert in storytelling, what will happen in my business? If nothing will happen, it will be 0. The impact is 0 on 5. If it will change everything in my business and it will blow up my business, it's a 5. Okay? And you can find a score, as you understood, between these two. Okay? Second criteria is the interest. How much are you interested in this subject? 0 is you are not interested by storytelling at all. 5, it's your passion right now and you are obsessed with it. Okay? And the third one is the timing. 0 is it's not a good moment to learn it, and 5, it's a perfect moment to learn it. And then what you have to do is just to make the sum of these 3 criteria. So for example, let's say I will do it for each of these subjects, and at the end I will have a mark, a score for each one. So here may be 10, here may be 12, here may be 8, here may be 7, here may be let's say 6, 5, etc. So then I know now exactly, and based on something which is rational and which take in consideration the most important aspect, that the thing I need to learn right now and I need to focus on right now is decision making. And then it will be storytelling, and then it will be marketing, etc., etc. Okay? So that's the thing. Maximum impact principle. Focus on the subjects you need to learn right now and the subjects that are going to give you the most impact, the biggest impact right now in your business. Don't follow the algorithms, don't follow the recommendations of people, okay? Just make these scoring on the learning subjects that you're interested in and you need to learn about, and make this hierarchy and this prioritization. And when you have done that, you pick the subject that have the highest score and you focus on it. You focus on this one and you accept to ignore the other ones for now. Okay? You just focus on this one until you have consumed, digest, and apply a big part of it, and then you can pass to the other one. And for example, one of my last clients, which was an entrepreneur, we have done this and we noticed that decision making was the biggest subject to focus on. And so during few weeks, he just focused on decision making. So he learned a lot of books, and then he digested the content. He made a master map, what I call the master map, and then he applied the knowledge. So into his processes of his business with his teams, he made a workshop, etc., etc. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but that's the thing. And he focused on it until he finished the subject, and then he passed to the other one. Once you have selected the right subject to learn, the next challenge is ensuring you actually implement what you learn. And this brings us to the third principle, which is the execution-driven knowledge. Because what we want is to translate what we learn into concrete and tangible business results. Knowledge is not a goal in itself. Knowledge is a mean to a goal. You don't learn to know things. You learn to achieve things. And this is a big difference between ambitious entrepreneurs and ones that are only learning because they like learning. And ambitious entrepreneurs learn to compound their skills and then achieve more and more in their business and in their life. And the key idea is that knowledge isn't power until it's applied. And I love this quote from Napoleon Hill: knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of actions. Applied knowledge is prolific and abundant knowledge is sterile. So as entrepreneurs, what we need to do is to focus on executing the knowledge we acquired. Okay? And I'm going to give you a practical example of this that I noticed a lot with a lot of entrepreneurs. So for example, you assist 3 days seminars, right? So you have 1 day, okay, 2nd day, 3rd day. Okay, maybe you paid a lot to be at this seminar, thousands of dollars, okay? What most of entrepreneurs are going to do is that at the end of the seminars, they are going to go back to business and maybe eventually they are trying to apply a bit of what they learned during these 3 days. Okay. So for example, they are going to apply, let's say 20% of what they learned, right? This is most of entrepreneurs. Why? Because on the first place, most of them, and I noticed that when I was assisting a lot of seminars and some seminars, business seminars actually, is that most of them, on the first place, they don't take notes. They don't take notes. So if you don't take notes, first of all, because of the forgetting curve, 14 days from now, from the seminars, you forgot 90% of what you heard of. And this is a scientific fact. You have to deal with that. And for the ones that are taking notes, they are taking notes with some inefficient notes or linear notes, okay? I'm not going to dig into the note-taking, the best note-taking practices, etc. in this video. Maybe it's going to be the topic of a next one. But these kind of entrepreneurs are going to apply just few things actually of what they learned during these 3 days of seminars. They invest 3 days of their life full time and they invest thousands of dollars. Why? Because it's very hard to apply when you go back just like that without something which is between the learning moment and between the execution moment. Okay? They don't have this. They don't focus on digesting, processing, and applying. And that's why they are trying to pass from consuming to results. It's too fast. You can't do this. Your brain can't do this. If you want to have a big ROL and use the full potential of what you learned during a seminar, and sometimes we assist seminars and I say to myself, wow, this is huge. This is gold. I have to implement every single thing I heard right here. But if I just think that and don't have a clear system to do it, I'm not going to do it. Why? Because I go back to business, I will have a lot of meetings, I will have a lot of projects, I would have a lot of products to manage, etc. And so I'm not going to apply. I'm going to try to apply some stuff. And at the end of the day, what this seminar brings me is just maybe some motivation and some networking, and that's it. The second thing to do is to just, and this is an advice that is going to, give you a lot of value if you apply it really. Suppose at the end of the seminar, you just stay in this hotel, this place you were during the seminar, and you just take half a day more to stay there, okay? And during this half a day, maybe let's say 4 hours, 5 hours of deep work, deep focus, what are you going to do? You are going to digest and process the knowledge, and you are going to prepare execution. So what does that mean? It means that you are going to, for example, synthesize all of the things you learned during this seminar, and this is during the digest and process step, and then you are going to prepare execution, and you are going to make it very easy to use what you learned when you are going to go back to your business, right? So what does that mean? For example, it means that right now, during this moment, you are going to create guidelines. You are going to create SOPs, maybe for your team or for yourself. You are going to create, let's say, processes and record some processes. So new processes you want to implement in your business from this moment and based on the new knowledge you acquired. Maybe you are going to create how-tos. And this is so powerful. Why? Because right now, when you go back to business with all of these things, it's so easy to implement at least, I will say, 70% of what you learned. And imagine if you pass from, imagine that you have, I think if you are watching this video, you already have great results in your business, okay? So imagine that these great results are just from 20% actually of what you learned. Imagine if you pass from 20% to 70% of application and implementation of what you learned. This is huge. And let's say, okay, let's take an empirical vision, which is better. Let's say just 50%. Okay, you pass from 20% to 50%. This is huge. And what is important here, very important to notice, is that basically after consuming a lot of knowledge and a new knowledge, you have, I would say, between 1 day to 2 days window. Okay, let's say between 24 hours to 48 hours. During this moment, what you are going to do with what you remembered of the webinar, of the seminar, is very important. It's crucial. Why? Because your neural pathways are still hot, your motivation to apply it is at its peak, and it's the moment your brain connections are very malleable. And so, if you miss this window and you say to yourself, oh, maybe I'm going to take sometime next week or next month to digest what I learned during this seminar and trying to apply it in my business, it will be 10 times harder because the motivation will be minimal, because your notes are ugly most of the time, and because you forgot a lot of what you learned. Implementing knowledge yourself is powerful, but the most successful entrepreneurs go I would say one step further. And that's why the fourth principle is about scaling your knowledge. Okay, so 4, scale your knowledge. Your knowledge. So many entrepreneurs I worked with had a lot of knowledge in different domains, okay? And you have to, when you're an entrepreneur, basically, you need knowledge in marketing, you need knowledge in sales, in acquisition, maybe in content creation, maybe in a lot of domains, in management, in hiring, etc., etc. But the problem is that most of this knowledge is only on their head, and it's not benefiting their business as it should. So to grow and have a huge impact, you have to scale your knowledge. And you have to make it usable to the right person at the right moment. And to do this, you have to streamline the fact of creating what I call shareable items. Basically, these things are material to share your knowledge easily in your business and 10x the impact of what you know in your whole business. So, for example, create SOPs. Create guidelines, create private training or courses. You learn a lot about copywriting. You are a monster in copywriting, okay? So create a private training on copywriting just like that, just raw. Take your iPad, take something and just talk to the camera. And the next person which is going to come in your business and is going to be your copywriter, just send him your private training of copywriting, and you will be on the same vision and you will share with him. He will maybe not be as good as you, but if you can share with him just 70% or 20% of your skill set, it will be huge, because 80% of you 10 times is better than 100% of you one time. You can hire 10 copywriters, but you cannot hire 10 yourself, right? And that's why we are talking about scaling your knowledge, okay? So let's say, okay, private training, let's remove this, how-tos, processes, Loom videos, etc., okay? So just to take an example, I told you about one entrepreneur which was learning about decision making. What we have made at the end of his learning on decision making, we don't want him to be the only one to take big decisions in his team and in his business. So what we have done is that at the end, we have created a how to take a decision, and so he had a clear process to follow when we want to take a big decision. You just have to follow the process, and into this process is included all of what he learned about decision making. It's gold mine, clearly, okay? And you share it into your business to scale the impact of what you learned. So we have created how-to, and we have created also, I'm going to add it here, maybe here, okay, a workshop. We have created a workshop for its team on how to take a decision. And so right now, if you are able to streamline this, okay, and there are some great things to streamline it and make it easy to do without friction and quickly and fast, if you are able to do this, then every single thing you are going to learn, you are going to 10x its impact into your business. And you are not going to just learn something, you are the only one to being able to apply it. And so it's so difficult to make it have the impact it should have. And so now, clearly, you learn once and you impact 10. And this is marvelous. And when your team and your whole business apply what you know, your impact is 10x. And you get 10x the results. But to truly make learning and knowledge your competitive advantage, you need something else. You need to build what I call your learning system. Napoleon Hill said, lack of understanding, and listen to that closely. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. And what does that mean? It means that you need clear plan of actions, a clear steps to follow between the moment you consume something to the moment you have the results. And for me, clearly, what does that mean? This is a system. You need a learning system. And if this system is unclear or worse, and it's the case for most entrepreneurs right now, worse, if this system is not existing at all, you are just trying to pass from this to this. And also think about the fact that you are going to learn for the rest of your life. So if every single time you want to learn something, you are going to ask yourself, how should I learn? How should I take notes? What should I do to apply this, etc., etc.? It will be a waste of your energy, a waste of your time. Just build a good learning system right now and use it for your life. And it makes sense because actually for the most important things in your life and in your business, actually, you have a system. You have a sales system. You have maybe a hiring system. You have a management system. If you are serious about that, you have a productivity system. Why? Because these 4 things are very important to you and very important to your business. So what about learning? What about learning? And what about knowledge? It's much more important than these 4 things. Why? Because you are living in a knowledge industry, in a knowledge economy. What are you selling actually? You are selling either your expertise or you are selling either some services based on what you know how to do it or what you are able to do. And all of these things basically are knowledge. So you need absolutely a knowledge system. Extraordinary things cannot be achieved with ordinary knowledge. And if you don't want to have an ordinary knowledge, your way to learn has to be not ordinary. But if you are aiming to have a lot of knowledge, to have a lot of skills, to make these skills compound, etc., these are just goals. And as James Clear said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems. And so your learning system is going to support all the knowledge you want to acquire, all the skills you need to acquire to grow your business and to go further. So take this time to build your learning system. If you're an entrepreneur who's frustrated that most of what you invest in courses, coachings, and masterminds never gets fully implemented, listen close. I want to help you build your personalized learning system, help you actually implement what you learn and turn knowledge into your competitive edge. So just click the link down below in the description to book a call with me directly. If you are a good fit, I will personally guide you through the entire process of becoming a learning machine for your business. So if you are serious about learning and if you are serious about making all of those investments in your education finally pay off in your business, check the link down below and let's talk. And see you on the other side.